Tom Brady has chimed in on Instagram.
Saw that.
Tom Brady has chimed in on Instagram, and Tom Brady's not going anywhere. Anybody thought, like, okay, he will just retire?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he will retire because the Patriots haven't really or won't offer him what he needs to feel loved enough to come back to them, or they don't have enough of a plan, potentially, to give him the weaponry that clearly he would require as a 43-year-old starting quarterback in the NFL. And new league year hits, and they go back and forth, and it's time to be a free agent, and he stares down the future in somebody else's uniform, and he's like, you know what, I just can't do that. That's a scenario that's been painted, correct?
Yes.
But if you can't do the Joe Montana thing,
right,
by going
doesn't
to
want to
Kansas
do
City.
Peyton Manning.
Doesn't want to do the Peyton Manning thing, but that's somebody who can possibly be effective in winning a championship. We're talking about the Johnny U thing, the Namath thing, which is just play out the string in the Strait of California, and that'll be the end of that.
I think Brady's proven he's a top 10, 15 quarterback.
And that he sees how others have finished up in other uniforms. He just can't do it. He won't bring himself to do it. Tommy is too much a chowderhead when it all comes down to it.
So he retires. Pick 6.
Well,
that's the final throw.
That has been posited by observers. Not here, but you've heard that he can't, he just won't, when it comes down to it, does he really want to keep playing for somebody else, put on a different uniform after 20 years with the Patriots?
It'd be weird.
Guess what? Based on what he Instagrammed out today, he'd do it. You don't always win. This is a very long statement on his Instagram page, and it ended up with, you don't always win. You can, however, learn from that failure. Pick yourself up with great enthusiasm. I wonder where he gets that word from. Maybe a Michigan man himself. Enthusiasm, previously unknown to mankind.
Unknown to mankind.
And place yourself in the arena again.
Oh.
That's what he says. Pick yourself up with great enthusiasm and place yourself in the arena again. And that's right where you will find me, because I know I still have more to prove. TB12,
I don't know what else he needs to prove, but.
Well, that's what makes Brady Brady. You could have said, I don't know what else he needs to prove after he won 3 out of 4 in his beginning of his career. You could then have said when he did it again, what else does he have to prove, right? Or 3 out of 5. What else does he have to prove? You did it. You've done it with a group of guys who are now up for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, guys like Seymour, Ty Law's now in, all those guys. You've done it with a totally different set of guys. Gronk will be in. Randy Moss is now in, right? Even though he didn't win in 07, but he did go 16-0 in one season. Like, what else do you have to prove? You got the supermodel wife, the beautiful kids, the great life. TB12, you're eating avocado ice cream. You look 12 when you're 42. What else you got to prove? Everything. That's what makes him Brady. Guy who gets slighted because Drew Henson gets the starting gig at Michigan, and he dominates in an Orange Bowl. Nobody sees him for what he is. He's drafted 199th overall. The Brady 6 happens. We can go on and on and on. We know the story. But the guy has an unquenchable fire that clearly still burns. He's saying he's got something to prove. You know what he's got to prove? He's a 43-year-old that still can win. He's going to be a 43-year-old that's going to do stuff that no 43-year-old will ever attempt, because 43-year-olds don't do it. That's what he's going to do. And he's also going to show you he can come to another spot and do it. Or he'll stay put. But he's not going anywhere. He also was quoted as saying this earlier in the week when pointing out that for the first time in 20 years, you're truly a free man. Again, he cannot be franchise tagged, and if he is not signed as a free agent by New England, if he's not signed before free agency, he's $13.5 million in dead money if he's traded or cut. So he's got a hammer here. That's pointed out to him. How do you feel about that right now? Brady said, yeah, I think I'm just going to explore those opportunities wherever they are. If it's the Patriots, great. If that doesn't work, I don't know. I just don't know. I love playing football. I still want to play football. I think I can still play at a championship level. I've just got to go do it. I'm motivated to get back to work and training. He said that 2 days before his Instagram posting. He said it to Peter King, who's calling in 8 minutes. So we'll ask Peter what he thinks of all this. And I'll tell you, man, out here for the Los Angeles Chargers, I don't know what they're going to do with Phillip Rivers. And we're all paying attention to Brady, and then there's the conversation about Breeze. I saw ESPN spoke to a bunch of league executives. Did you see that? Unnamed league executives. When you give executives the cover of anonymity, baby.
They speak.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
It's a chatterbox.
It flows.
And apparently a majority of them thinks that the Saints are going to have a new starting quarterback in 2020. How about that?
I think they should just go full Taysom Hill.
You know what? I know that a lot of people would be saying if they don't go Breeze, they should stick with Bridgewater. I agree with you, sir.
That dude is so good.
The Taysom Hill, the way he plays and his style of play, someone's about to win the MVP award in that style.
Yep.
But that's for another day. With Brady and at whatever they decide here in Los Angeles with Phillip Rivers, would they run back another season with a guy who they have obviously a ton of history with?
38 years old, Phillip Rivers.
But 2 years of history with in their current city in which they play. That's it. And 2 years in a soccer stadium with the guy. A soccer stadium filled with the opposing fans. And if you think that happened in just because it's just a soccer stadium. It's just a soccer stadium. They play in the home of the LA Galaxy. You know? And when Minnesota comes out here, everyone's doing the Skull chant. And on Sunday Night Football, the whole country saw the terrible towels wave when Duck Hodges came in and beat the Los Angeles Chargers. Well, what happens when they move into a football-sized stadium this coming fall? What happens then? This is going to be a consideration. And if by March 18th, somehow, some way, for whatever reason, Brady and the Patriots do not come to an accommodation, and I know if he's cut or he's traded, it's $13.5 million. But Brady forces it, and he shows up here. I'll repeat it again. My children would want number 12 powder blue jerseys on the spot. They're not saying, Daddy, can I get a powder blue jersey for Phillip Rivers? They're not. That's a fact, which is tough to say because I love Philly Riv, man. I love his style of play. But you want to talk about degrading returns. There were 3 guys who threw 20 more interceptions this year. Phillip Rivers was one of them. Brady was not one of them.
But you talk about going from a 38-year-old quarterback to a 43-year-old quarterback.
What if you go ahead and you sign Tom Brady and then 6th overall you draft, say, the kid from Oregon?
Who announced he's going to the Senior Bowl yesterday.
Great, good for him. So Jalen Hurts and the Senior Bowl is going to be lit on the NFL Network later on this month. But what if you do that? And you say, go in the quarterback room with Tom Brady, Justin. How tough is that? TB12, you fill up the stadium. Justin, you learned from Tom a couple years from now when Tom says vaya con Dios at the age of 45. Justin, it's your team.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.